Okay, yesterday we covered basically the concept called partitioning, and in the partitioning we had two different types, which is a static partitioning and dynamic partitioning, right? So, do you have any question on that, or I can proceed further? Okay, so if you don't have question, I'll just move forward. Uh, Partitioning gives effective results when there is a limited number of partitions and then comparatively equal sized partitions. Means so if you have a when I said partition, right? You can create a, partition on column which has categorical values, right? You cannot create a partition on column which has unique values, and also the uh, partitions size should be equal to give to get a good performance. And if there are certain columns, so like if you have a table which has um, a unique column, right? So if you want to segment your data into smaller parts, right? So that there comes the usage of bucketing, right? To overcome the problem of partitioning, Hadoop provides a bucketing concepts. So another technique for decomposing a table data set into more manageable parts, right? So which means basically, if you look at this, diagram, generally, if you have a data set and if you have a country and state and city, the like geo information columns, then you can actually create a partitions, right? If else, if you have a data set, if you want to create it into smaller segments, then you need to create a bucketing so that you actually store few information into different buckets. Okay, so split your few rows into one bucket, two bucket, three bucket, like that. Okay, so in that scenario, the bucketing will be used. Okay. So the bucketing is in Hive is organizing technique similar to partitioning in Hive with the added functionalities that will be divide large data into more manageable parts called buckets. And there is a keyword called cluster by. Using that, you can divide a table into buckets. Bucketing can be done along with the partition. So if you have a partition column, if you have a table with partition, along with also you can use a bucketing. Okay, buckets tables will create almost equally distributed data files. To populate bucket tables with okay, to enforce bucketing to be enabled on a table, so you need to set this property like set Hive enforce bucketing equal to true. Okay. Let's see how we can create a bucketing on table. I will go to this. So basically, take example of I have a user data, right? So if I have a user data where I want to, so generally, basically this will be used for kind of sampling. So if you worked on any machine learning projects, what they do is they take a large data set and from out of that they take it sample and they build a small model how it works, and if it is working fine, they but then go and build the model on the large data sets. So those one of the scenarios where the bucketing will be useful. Okay. Okay, so you can actually so as I mentioned, so bucketing you can, when you create a bucketing, you should use a keyword called cluster by and specify on which column, based on which column you are going to create a buckets and how many buckets you want to create, right? So you can specify cluster by and provide a column. I hope you are seeing my screen, right? Into four
Yeah,
buckets.
we are able.
Yeah, thank you so much. um, Four buckets, and the other um, the keywords are almost same as how would you create a table. So here what I'm going to do is I'm creating a department as a partition column, and employee ID as a bucketing column, right? So let me create this table. Okay, so show databases. So we were using this DM Hive DB. So let's use that DM Hive DB, and I'll create this table. So this is basically a employee data set. So I need to okay. I'm going to how I'm going to load this. I think we have already a non-partition employee table. Show tables from non-partition employee table. So I'm going to create a partition on already created a partition on department, and we are going to create we are going to load this data so that it will actually create data into different buckets. Okay. So what I'll do is first I'll without creating partition, I'll show you how it is getting created. Yes. Let's go with only part cluster by. Okay. Now we'll go just enable only bucketing, and then we'll just modify a little bit. Notice. Okay, so when I run this, what it's going to do is basically we specified the bucketing column as an employee ID, right? So it has to create a it has to segment our data set into multiple manageable parts, right? Which is the 4 buckets we mentioned. So how it is going to do is it is going to take the bucketing column, which is employee ID, and do hashing, and based on the hashing value of each employee ID, it is going to put it into the 4 different buckets, like say bucket 1, 2, or 3. If so, 4 buckets need to be created. So and when you do hashing, say example, if it is coming the hashing code as 0 or 1, then it will go to bucket 1. If the hash code of employee ID is 2, then it goes to 2 and 3 and 4, like that. So that's how it is using the hash partitioning, sorry, hashing, and then based on the hash value, it is going to put it to the different buckets. What is this? Cannot insert target table because types are different. Okay, I missed, I think, employee ID. So now it is going to create 4 buckets. Okay, let me show you in the SDFS how it looks. So I will open the name node web UI, navigate to the SDFS. You go to user, Hive, warehouse, DM Hive DB. Let's get completed.
Pari, how you are saying like 4 buckets are created? You mentioned
So
something.
basically, when I create a table, right, you need to specify um, uh, a column on which you are going to create a bucket. So that is using the keyword cluster by, and into you have to specify how many number of buckets you have to create for this table. So here we are mentioning 4 buckets. So basically, your entire data set into 4 buckets.
Yeah, got it.
Pari, I have a doubt too.
Yeah, 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 good.
Right where the line that you are discussing, the clustered by employee ID you mentioned there, right?
Correct.
The employee ID is of from which table? The table that you are currently creating, or the table that has already been created? Because you haven't referred another table there in that line.
No, no, see, what I am saying is this is
Yeah,
whenever,
creating table. Yeah, creating table with that one,
yeah.
with
So
that
first,
4 columns.
hmm.
Yeah,
So I'm creating a table with the 4 columns, right?
yeah.
And so whenever we load a data into this, I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
the data which is getting loaded into this table uh,
Mm-hmm.
created as a bucket. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can actually using a load command I can do just
Mm-hmm.
if you have we have a data set in from we have a data set of employee records, right? So let me show you that.
Yeah.
Stuck. So one way is to load from your data which is there in a file, or the other way is to load from other tables also, which is
Okay. Yeah.
basically this table as without partitioning, without bucketing, all the records are there. Just I'm loading from this table to this table. So
Yeah.
anyway, the idea is this table, whatever the data is getting loaded into this table, it will create into your records into 4 buckets.
Okay.
Okay, let this get completed, and then probably the next things we are going to discuss is how do you say till now what we did is basically we create a table, whether it is a managed table or external table, right? So and we create a we create a we like if you want to configure partitioning, we can actually create a partition or bucket, right? If you want to delete a data, like deleting data is of two types. Either you can actually load data using an insert command or load command, right? If you want to delete or update, how do you do that? Which I'm going to see it. And one more thing I left last session is uh, it's like there is a so if we have a partition column, right? So one way is to load is the dynamic partition is using this setting this property called dynamic partition equal to true, and there is a partition mode equal to non-string, right? So if we have an external table, when you do an external table, what we do is we provide a path to the external table, right? If you look at the external table creation, yeah. So when you create an external table, I'm creating a customer table, and then I specify the location of data on which I need to point this table to the customer data set. Right? This is the creating a partition table and point your data. Okay. So say example, this is not having any partition column. Say if you want to create an external table and then have a partition column, then how do you load it? Load the data, because whenever we create a external table, we have to specify the path on which your data is there, right? So if your data is splitted into different partition, right? Say example, on this particular partition, this particular location, I have the department of VA, all the records department of VA. Okay, and there is another location B which has department employee studies of department B and C similarly. But you want to create a, if you want to do using the uh, managed table or internal table, we know we can do using um, you can use either a load command, or you can use this um, using static conditional. There's one more command I missed. Okay, if you want to create an external table, so you can actually alter. First, you create this table without specifying a path, right? Because you want to load into partition table. If it is not a partition table, you just specify location and provide the entire data set location. But if it is a partition table, you create a partition column and without specifying the location, then you alter a table, the external table name, then you specify add partition and provide a partition value for your department, and then provide the location on which the department A records are there, and similarly B and C. This is the basically creating a partition column on external table. This is one of the way we need to do. Okay, now let me check if this is done. Oh yeah, still running. All right, we'll go back to the um, delete and update. Okay, so delete and update, like we do on normal RDBMS system, right? So basically, you create a table and you insert the data, then you can actually either drop an entire table or you delete particular row from table. That we can do it in RDBMS system. Like if you take a MySQL or any other RDBMS, you can just use the delete keyword. You can write a delete query, delete from particular table name, either entire records from all from the entire records from the tables you can delete, or you can provide the condition also, where condition. So what I mean is, is open another window. Oh my god, everything is stuck. I'll just stop this. Just give me 2 minutes. Let's just get. Okay, I have a MySQL installed my system, so you can log in MySQL CLI using a MySQL command, and username is root hyphen password is data making. So show databases. So I have this table. There's a database called Scoop Demo DB. Use. So I've CLI commands and MySQL CLI commands almost look like similar. So I have this table. So if you look at this, I have customer data, right? So if you want to delete my order, which is 9636, I can just go and delete order detail where order ID equal to this. So one row is affected, means one row deleted. But you cannot simply do it on Hive tables. So we need to enable few properties to do that. Okay, we'll see how to do that. Before that, let's. Okay, so if this meeting closes, please join using the same link. I will also just open this. Start yarn service. Yarn.sh. User Hive warehouse DM Hive DB errors. Okay, table. Actually, this is not completed. Okay, let it be. Databases. What I'll do is I'll just drop this table, reload again. Let's create. Here is okay. Now coming back to this, let's this get ready. Take some time to. Okay, so I was saying about deleting RDBMS, right? In MySQL, you can do. So we cannot do similar things in Hive. Okay, so I will show you this also. I take similarly customer data. Okay, so I have say 4 customer here, right? Say example, I want to delete one row. Take I want to delete the order ID one, right? Let me see the column name we given. This ID here, right? ICLI dot print data, I guess. Okay, I think ID. Okay. So delete from customer where ID and equal to 1. It says attempting to delete, update or delete using a transaction manager does not support on this operation. So you cannot directly go and delete a row from a table, right? For that, we need to set a few properties. Like you need to enable the support of concurrency, and that table should have the. If you want to delete or update a particular table, that table needs to be a bucketing table. So unless you have bucketing enabled on particular table, you cannot delete that. And it has to be these properties like partition mode equal to non-strict, and you have to enable this transaction manager and then other properties as well, right? So unless you and also your uh, the file format, right, which you enable for a table. Generally, we use um, text file for other tables. If you don't specify, by default, it will take as text file somewhere. So here we ventured stored as text file, the final the data which is stored on the SDFS. Or if you are pointing to the external table, then you specify your data based on what is your data set. You specify the file format of your file. To enable a Hive, to enable delete and update on your table should be table file type of should be ORC file format. ORC nothing but optimized record columnar. ORC. Okay, so optimized row columnar. Sorry, not a record. Optimized row columnar. It's one of the file format which is there in Hive. So basically, your table should be created with the ORC file format, and the transaction should be true, and then you should have a bucketing column. So you should create a bucket uh, uh, for your table so that you can do the delete operation or update operation. Let me check. Okay, this bucket query is ran. I just go check.